All praises, honor, and glory going to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Krakodas, diviners to the elders and apostles of the great millstone. Salutations to all you alchemists out there pushing this truth with all honesty and sincerity. This is your brother Nayap, and I'm back with another news update. It's for fair use, fair use, fair use. All right. Educational purposes only.
China has called on Asian countries to boost their own military spending, however, saying that China's army is rehearsing for the real deal when it comes to its stated goal of taking over Taiwan.
Italy's Mount Etna is erupting. Take a look at this. Images of lava and clouds of smoke shooting into the air. This is a famous volcano on the island of Sicily. Officials say, as of now, key phrase, as of now, no immediate risk to the local population. White House envoys Steve Witkoff and Marco Rubio have publicly said they would never allow Iran to enrich uranium and would demand a full dismantlement of Iran's nuclear facilities. But the proposal that the United States gave Iran completely differs from this. According to Axios, it allows limited low-level uranium enrichment on Iranian soil. White House envoys Steve Witkoff and Marco Rubio have publicly said they would never allow Iran to enrich uranium and would demand
In Gaza, officials there say more than 20 Palestinians were killed and over 150 injured as they went to get food, but there's a dispute over who did the shooting. The Israeli military denied that their forces were involved and blamed masked gunmen. But multiple witnesses said they saw Israeli forces firing on crowds near the aid site. Relatives of the victims gathered at a nearby hospital.
He went to get his livelihood. He left home at 11 o'clock, sleeping near there. He went to get his food. They shot him. He was not carrying weapons or knives or anything. He went to get food for his children. He has 8 family members.
Hunger killed people. All people are hungry, not just one person. We are all hungry. None of the houses has flour. They told us to go get food. Why are they killing us? Why? Why are they killing innocent people? Isn't it unfair?
The aid site is a new one, part of Israel's controversial overhaul of distribution in Gaza, intended to prevent looting by Hamas. The plan replaced the United Nations and international groups with a smaller number of sites run by largely U.S. security contractors. After a 2-month Israeli blockade, huge crowds of Gazans desperate for food have flocked to the new sites. The foundation running the site said the distribution went smoothly and accused Hamas of fabricating fake reports.
And today, following through on this review, I want to set out 3 fundamental changes that we're going to deliver. First, we are moving to warfighting readiness as the central purpose of our armed forces. When we are being directly threatened by states with advanced military forces, the most effective way to deter them is to be ready. And frankly, to show them that we're ready, to deliver peace through strength. Now, Britain has the finest servicemen and women in the world. We're showing them the respect that they deserve by delivering the biggest armed forces pay rise in 20 years, and by pledging today that we will end the hollowing out of our armed forces. We'll build a fighting force that is more integrated, more ready, more lethal than ever, backed by a stronger strategic reserve, fully trained and ready to mobilize at any time. Second, everything we do will add to the strength of NATO. As we step up to take greater responsibility for our collective defense, the NATO alliance means something profound. That we will never fight alone. It is a fundamental source of our strategic strength. That's why our defense policy will always be NATO first, something that's written through this review. The transformation we are driving in our defense must add up to Britain's biggest contribution to NATO since its creation, so that when we're building new capabilities at home, we are making our allies safer too, strengthening Europe and strengthening our bridge to the US as Britain's first partner in defence. Third, we will innovate and accelerate innovation at a wartime pace, so we can meet the threats of today and of tomorrow as the fastest innovator in NATO. Now, this doesn't mean replacing people or hardware. Quite the opposite. It means learning the lessons of Ukraine, which I've discussed many times with President Zelensky, to ensure that every capability we have works seamlessly together. Drones, destroyers, AI, aircraft, each different branch of our armed services fully integrated to create an army which is 10 times more lethal by 2035. And in delivering all of this, we are more ambitious than ever for the change it can bring. To deliver not just security for our country, but renewal too. After the Cold War, many nations cut defence spending, freeing up public funds, creating what was called a peace dividend, which people felt in their public services and in the quality of their lives. Faced with new circumstances today, we must deliver for working people again, to seize now a defence dividend for the British people, using this moment to drive jobs and investment throughout the country, like here in Govan, providing local opportunities, skilled work, community pride, ensuring that everyone across the United Kingdom has a role to play in this effort, yes, but also that everyone has a stake in its success. And I want to spell this out very simply. To achieve this, we're going to build, we're going to use this investment and this once-in-a-generation reform to drive renewal up and down the nation, creating new jobs, creating skills and opportunity, driving huge growth in industrial capacity.
The Israeli government just announced that they're going to build 22 illegal settlements in the West Bank. What they're telling the world is, try to stop us. We are invincible. There's been one policy that has been consistent all throughout 1967 with each and every Israeli government, and that is the building and expanding of settlements. There has never been an Israeli government that has put a halt on Israeli settlements. The difference, however, this time is that we have a decision by the International Court of Justice that has said not only are the settlements illegal, but that they should be withdrawn by September of 2025. International law is clear when it comes to the Israeli settlements. They're illegal under international law. They're even considered to be a war crime. And in July of 2024, there was an opinion that came out by the World Court, which is the highest court, saying that all of the Israeli settlements are illegal and all of them must be dismantled. And so what this is telling you in terms of Israeli intent is that they don't care about what international law says, that they're going to continue to defy it. And they're daring the world to get somebody to stop them. There are millions of Palestinians who still remain living in the West Bank. And what I suspect that the Israelis are going to do now is enact more and more policies to take Palestinians out of their homes, to destroy more Palestinian homes, to take away their nationality, to kick them out of their homeland. For decades, all that we've heard by the international community is their support for a two-state solution. But it hasn't gone beyond those words. They've done absolutely nothing to bring about that end to the occupation or to bring about Palestinian freedom. For example, we have yet to see countries impose sanctions en masse on Israel, even though sanctions are required. We've yet to see countries divest from Israel. We've yet to see corporations divest from Israel. What is required is a global movement. This Israeli government has never said that they intend to see a two-state solution. Quite the opposite. What they've made clear is that they believe in policies of genocide and in policies of ethnic cleansing. For example, the current finance minister is a person who has said to Palestinians that the only reason that they remain is because Ben-Gurion didn't complete the job. In other words, he didn't finish the ethnic cleansing process in 1948. So they've made their policies clear, which is they want to see from the river to the sea only people who are Jewish, which means the full and complete ethnic cleansing of Palestine.
Thousands of people in Canada have been forced to evacuate their homes as more than 170 wildfires tear through 3 provinces. Take a look at these images. The U.S. has deployed 150 firefighters to help. Smoke pouring from across the border from Canada into the U.S. has triggered air quality alerts from multiple states across the Midwest. The smoke is also making its way to our region, creating hazy conditions.
The Israeli government just announced that they are going to build 22 illegal settlements in the West Bank. What they're telling the world is, try to stop us.
Thousands of people in Canada.
We could have our first named storm in the Atlantic by this Friday or over this next coming weekend. The water temperatures across the Atlantic basin, especially in the Gulf and in the Western Caribbean, are plenty warm enough to sustain tropical development, and it looks like we're going to be getting some showers and thunderstorms developing in the Western Caribbean here by the end of the week and into the weekend. Then everything slowly begins to move to the north, and that's where we could see some development. Anywhere along the Gulf Coast needs to monitor this very, very carefully, although right now it looks like I would favor the eastern Gulf states right now. But again, everyone along the entirety of the Gulf, from Texas to Florida, needs to watch the AccuWeather forecast very, very carefully.
Hey guys, how are you guys doing today? Now, Stanley, Idaho, folks. Stanley, Idaho is showing similar behavior of I saw this happening in Nevada. This was basically I would say a month ago, and when I actually dig further into it, guys, there were actually that section of Nevada, there were cracks, and it was actually caving in. It was cracking. Now, the reason why I mentioned this, Stanley, Idaho got like 40 earthquakes today alone. Anywhere from 2.1 to 3.4, around 30, probably even more. Now, that's east, guys. That's east of the Yellowstone. Now, I know it's not that close to the Yellowstone, but what I'm trying to say to you folks, part of the reason why Idaho is getting so much earthquakes right now is because of magma intrusion. Magma intrusion that's happened at the Yellowstone. I promise you, okay? Stanley, Idaho, easy 30 plus earthquakes today. Easy. Mount Etna in Italy also erupt. Pretty much for the past like 15 years, Mount Etna, it erupt almost every year. They get seismic activity there, a lot of and they will get volcanic eruption. So it's not really. I'm not really watching it too much. I know it was pretty big. It was a pretty big eruption. I saw it, but it's a very active volcano. So it's not where I'm keeping this point, even though it's a volcanic eruption. But it's a volcanic eruption that happened pretty much every year. But Stanley, Idaho, folks. Now, the West Coast is having ground swells off the coast of Oregon. So what that means is that they're having magma movement. Magma is moving under the crust on the West Coast. Mount St. Helens, okay? Mount St. Helens is also having magma intrusion. It's all the way over there in Washington State. That volcano is going to also erupt, right? This is the reason, folks. This is why Stanley, Idaho is getting a lot. And I'm telling you, mark my word, the reason is because of magma movement that's going on at Yellowstone. I'm not saying Yellowstone is close beside Idaho. That's not what I'm saying. It's because of the magma movement at Yellowstone, under the crust, way under the crust. Why? This section of Stanley, Idaho is getting a swarm of earthquakes. So basically, what I'm trying to say to you, the ground right there in Stanley, Idaho is cracking. I promise you. Yes, it is. It's cracking. I bet you probably won't see it yet because it's the same thing that happened in Nevada that's going to happen there. Give it another 4 or 5 weeks. If you're over there in Stanley, Idaho watching my video and you're right where all those earthquakes are happening, start looking in that area, start looking in the ground, around the ground, and see what I'm trying to say to you. And big quakes again for Japan. Something huge is coming for Japan, guys. Something big. Something really, really big is going to hit Japan. And it's not going to be pretty. I believe there's going to be an underwater volcano erupting off the coast of Japan, where you find all those big seismic activity. And also, more quakes are going to hit south of Fiji and also Tonga. They're going to see a lot more seismic activity over there. And again, Turkey and Greece still in the crosshair. You guys are in for some big quakes. And the new Madrid is again waking up. Okay, guys? Yes, it is. Now, in New Mexico. Not saying New Mexico is under New Madrid. Not saying that. But what's happening in New Mexico is going to affect Missouri, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Tennessee. It's going to send shockwave through the New Madrid fault line. And guys, in the past 3-4 days, they had over 100 earthquakes in New Mexico. I'm not making this up. Anywhere between 2 to 3 days, way over 100 earthquakes. Again, I'm not saying that's where the New Madrid is located. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying, the reason why I keep mentioning this area is because it's going to send shockwaves over to the New Madrid, and also these vibration is going to reach places like Ohio. It's going to reach places like New Jersey, East Coast of Canada, all the way up to Maine, Massachusetts. Those places are going to get earthquakes, all because of the eastern, the craton on the eastern side of the North American continent. The North American continent, guys, is made up of 6 craton joined together. Okay, so it's going to let loose. It's going to unzip some areas that earthquakes don't normally hit. And I want you guys to get yourself ready for this. Once again, guys, people will be like, oh, the focus is not only on the New Madrid fault line. The New Madrid fault line is actually the oldest fault line on the planet. Yes, it is. It is also more dangerous than the San Andreas fault line. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It has the capability of generating bigger earthquake than the San Andreas fault line. And I want you guys to be aware of this. And it has in the past, in the 18th century, 1810 to 1811. I think one of the biggest earthquake that hit the New Madrid fault line was actually 8.9, close to 9.0. It rang church bell all the way up in Massachusetts. So I'm letting you folks know that history is going to repeat itself. And again, guys, the volcano that's off the west coast. Keep an eye on those volcanoes off the west coast of Northern California, Oregon, and Washington State. Axel Seamont, that volcano. If you're on the shoreline of those locations that I've listed, the volcano Axel Seamont is basically, it is a super volcano, if you want to believe it or not. But I'm telling you, don't sleep on that volcano and don't take it lightly. All right? I don't want to give too much in this video because I don't want this video to get flagged. But USGS listed that volcano more dangerous than the Yellowstone, the one on the west coast of California. Yeah, the Axel Seamont. It can create more of an havoc than Yellowstone. Again, I'm going to leave it there. So be aware of your surrounding. Again, Stanley, Idaho, swarm of earthquake, and the reason why I'm going to lean on the fact that magma is moving at Yellowstone and it's triggering these seismic activities all the way over to in Stanley, Idaho. And that section of Idaho, there's going to be ground cracks happening there very, very, very soon. So I'm preparing you folks. So when it starts happening, you can't say I didn't tell you, or you can't, I'm letting you know what's coming. All right. So once you have this information, you have an idea of how to prepare yourself and how basically to stay aware of your environment if you're in that location. Again, guys, Mount Etna, if you're over there in Italy, it's something that happened pretty much every year, but this year it's a big eruption. And I hope this video helps, man. My friends over there in the West Coast.
Ебать, это 4-я нахуй! 5-я, блядь! Тупо хлопок Артема! Ебать, 6-ю слышу! Охуеть! Пизда нахуй!
Highly
effective, Eddie. Codenamed Operation Spider's Web. This was the most devastating drone attack carried out by Ukraine in this 3-year-long war. It took 18 months of careful planning to pull this off. These drones first smuggled into Russia, then hidden in the roof cavity of small wooden sheds, which were then sent on the backs of trucks to the periphery of Russian airfields. The roofs remotely operated to allow these drones into the air, striking 4 Russian airfields simultaneously, and as you say, destroying or badly damaging 40 of these nuclear bombers, long-range bombers that have been used to send missiles deep into Ukrainian territory. President Volodymyr Zelensky describing it as an absolutely brilliant result, taking to his social media account today to say that Ukraine is defending itself, and rightly so. We are doing everything to make Russia feel the need to end this war. This assault comes as Russia blames Ukraine for sabotaging a couple of its bridges. In one of those attacks, a bridge collapsed onto railway tracks, causing the derailment of an oncoming train. That killed 7 people and hospitalized many others. As in the second incident, a railway bridge collapsed while a train was actually crossing over it at the time. All of this comes just a day before Russia and Ukraine are due to sit down in Istanbul for the second round of these US-backed peace negotiations.
We also talked about our operation inside Russia, which has seriously weakened their military. Operation Spiderweb showed that modern war really looks like, and why it's so important to stay ahead with technology. All our joint investments in drone production, all our shared battlefield experience, everything we are doing together with our partners, it's making Europe stronger.
You're there, we're not. Israel won't allow independent foreign journalists into Gaza to see for ourselves what is going on. So, of course, we have to take our information from other places. I'm keen to ask you, Goher, what you see of Hamas. The Israel Defense Forces argue that they are attacking Hamas, who are hiding in places or beneath places like hospitals. They talk about the tunnels under Gaza, and Hamas, as we know, still has a large presence and a large influence over the Strip. What do you see of them?
Zero, absolutely zero. So I'm here for a month, I've been here 2 weeks. You go around the hospital and absolutely zero. You know, what we're seeing is kids. So from the mass casualties, for example, in the afternoon, that comes along. And then in the evening, you go into resus, you see a little girl who's about, that big, and her foot's hanging off about a meter away. The second person you see in resus is another kid who's got their leg cut off at the knee. The third one is another kid who's had shrapnel in the front of their chest and the back of their chest. And you see these are the type of patients, kids, women, everyone that's there.
Yeah.
You don't see, I've not seen any Hamas or anything like this. This is just simple, innocent people. And you can walk around the hospital. There's no issue. I've not been stopped or I've not seen anything. You can go anywhere you want.
You're there, we're not. Israel won't allow independent foreign journalists into Gaza to see for ourselves what is going on. So, of course, we have to take our information from other places. I'm keen to ask you, Goher, what you see of Hamas. The Israel Defense Forces argue that they are attacking Hamas, who are hiding in places or beneath places like hospitals. They talk about the tunnels under Gaza, and Hamas, as we know, still has a large presence and a large influence over the Strip. What do you see of them?
First of all, I really am not very optimistic about what's going on in Istanbul. Russia clearly shows that they don't want to end the war, because Ukraine proposed 30-day ceasefire in March, and American proposition was the same, and European, and only one country refuses. And if Russia would agree in March to stop hostilities, there would not be this attack which had happened yesterday. Yesterday's attack was absolutely brilliant and will be in the textbooks of military history and warfare. Something absolutely unique and unprecedented in world history. And just imagine Russian, at least 12 aircrafts are completely destroyed, and each of them costs hundreds of millions of dollars, And what is even more important, all these planes were built during the Soviet Union times and only modernized by Russia. No one such aircraft was built by Russia after collapse of Soviet Union. So it's something, this damage is unrepairable for Russia. So maybe that will help to make clear to Russia they will not achieve the goals. It's better to stop hostilities right now. But I'm quite pessimistic. I think Russia still wants to continue the war, and the only thing which can stop them right now is very harsh sanctions from the United States.
I don't know whether it's true that Ukraine didn't give us a heads up and that the United States wasn't involved in the planning or execution. I don't know that. I know what the White House has said. I don't necessarily believe it. I don't know that it's not true either. But I don't understand how you could want to jail a U.S. senator because he's saying something you don't like. That sounds like the worst of the deep state.
Because he's
lawfare.
No. It's absolutely what he's doing. What he's doing over there right now is stirring it up. He's giving the Ukrainians false hope. He's giving the Ukrainians false hope. He's giving Ukrainians false hope that we're there to support them on engaging Russia in a kinetic conflict, and we are not. So
maybe he's wrong. But what do you say? Throw him in jail.
President Trump. Hey, Lindsey Graham. Two things ought to happen. Either cancel his passport and don't let him back in the country, or put him in jail if he comes back. Lindsey Graham is stirring it up right now. And people better wake up to the fact that we're getting sucked into this war. And if we get sucked in much more, it's going to be tough. But first off, you just said the intelligence community. If the intelligence community actually did this, this is an act of war against Russia. Did the American people vote to go to war with the Russian people? This thing is so serious. But look, I'm being serious. Curtis LeMay at the top of the game and during the worst years in the Soviet Union, during the Cuban Missile Crisis, we never even conceived of going out and taking out 40% of their bombers on runways. The attack was audacious. It was brilliant. But the problem is it gets us involved in a conflict that no one in the United States wants to be part of, and it's going to make it tougher for us to break off.
Just came across the article, man, about BlackRock. BlackRock is suing. That's right, you heard it, folks. Suing, right? The largest health insurer, right? Suing United Health for giving too much care to patients. That's right. They are upset, right? The article literally says BlackRock is pissed that the healthcare insurer is approving claims. That's right. They're upset. BlackRock, the world's most powerful asset manager and United Health's biggest shareholder with nearly 10% ownership, is literally suing the health insurance giant for approving people's claim, for actually providing patients with care. Now, I'm not shocked or surprised, but this is just for the evidence, right? What is this evidence of? That we live in a world and a system where the Bible says in 2 Corinthians 4:4 that Satan is in fact the God of this world. That's right. I know you might be surprised to hear that, but that is true, people, and the evidence is right here. How, in fact, are working people who pay for insurance coverages, right? This is not a free service. You have trillionaires suing the insurance provider for approving your coverages. So when the Bible tells us that this world, this dispensation, this age is under the influence of Satan, right? That's Ephesians 2:2, and that he is in fact a prince and a power, and he has a kingdom here in this earth. People, this is your evidence. This is what you're seeing right in front of your face. Now, you could be naive, you can believe whatever you want to believe, but the evidence. Just came across the article, man, about BlackRock. BlackRock is suing. That's right, you heard.